So now just a matter of days before the transfer window opens, we've got a lot of rumours to go through today. Guys, welcome back to another video of the transfer rumour roundup. Lots to talk over today, like we just mentioned. If you're going to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like. If we get it through 100, that will be really appreciated. I want to bring these videos out as much to you guys as possible now. Before we do hop into any of the transfer rumours as well, we of course had all the midweek action going on in the Championship. We've got more games going on tonight as well, so do feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments down below in terms of what you've made of your team's performance in midweek. We had some pretty big results going on, especially at the bottom of the Championship. A lot of big results down there. Derby beating Birmingham by 4 goals to 0. Neil Etheridge had another bit of a shocker in that game, didn't he? Birmingham's home record lately has been absolutely abysmal, but that win will do Derby's confidence the absolute world of good. Sheffield Wednesday got a win against Middlesbrough 2-1 after departing with Tony Pulis. We mentioned it on the last video that it would be typical if that was to happen. Wycombe also picked up all 3 points. They beat Cardiff by 2 goals to 1. Forest also managed to get a point away at Stoke, which isn't a bad result all things considered, in what was quite possibly the foggiest game of football that we've ever seen. I'm fairly happy though, because already I've got quite a few of my predictions correct. I managed to call the Huddersfield against Blackburn game, the Luton against Bristol City game, and also the Rotherham against Barnsley game. To add on to that as well, Preston walked away with all 3 points against Coventry. Once again, not the best performance from Preston, but we got the job done. And we also had QPR getting a point away at Carrow Road as well, which makes the top of the Championship all the more interesting. It's very tight now in and around the top and bottom of the Championship, but without any further ado, let's hop into talking about some transfer rumours. So let's start out with quite an interesting one really. Jack Wilshere currently training with Bournemouth to maintain his fitness. Now at this point in time, he is currently without a club after being released by West Ham. Last season for West Ham, didn't particularly play a lot of football, just made 2 starts for them, made 6 appearances off the bench, and I mean that move to West Ham in general didn't really work out for him particularly well, did it? In the Premier League he only made 6 starts for them in the 2 years that he was there. But obviously Bournemouth have that relationship previously with Jack Wilshere. He had a loan move there back in the 16/17 season. That was one of the last real seasons where he played consistently quite a bit of football actually. He made 27 appearances for Bournemouth that season, and reportedly it's not been ruled out making this one a permanent move to the end of the season with Bournemouth if he can prove his fitness. And obviously that's the big sticking point with a player like Jack Wilshere, because I mean his quality, especially in the Championship, would be undeniable. It's an interesting one for Bournemouth though, because midfield isn't particularly an area where they're maybe in need of more players. You know, they're quite well stocked in that department at the moment. Lewis Cook I think has been really good for them so far this season. Lerma as well. I think those two bounce off each other quite well and give themselves a better balance, but adding someone like a Jack Wilshere to that midfield will just elevate the quality even more than it already is. So guys, let me know in the comments down below what do you think of this one. And then to one of the most in-demand players in the Championship at the moment, that's Reading's Michael Olise. If you watched my video a couple of days ago where we did our Championship team of the season so far, Olise for me gets in there. I think he's been absolutely wonderful. Only 19 years old already this season for Reading. In 15 starts, there's 4 goals and 7 assists for them. And with those sorts of numbers, that's going to attract quite a bit of interest. We've had Premier League clubs such as Leeds United, Spurs, Liverpool being linked, and there has also been some interest from abroad as well. AC Milan being one European club who has been keeping tabs on him. And there's quite a bit to talk about with this one. I think it would probably be best for Olise's career to at least ride out the rest of the season with Reading. I think that making a move over in January to somewhere where he's probably not going to get all too much game time at this point of his career, I'd say stay with Reading for the time being and then reassess the situation in the summer. And I think that that would probably be the best for both parties really. One thing that has been talked about quite a bit has been a potential £8 million release clause. However, when the Reading manager was actually asked about that, he said he wasn't aware of anything of this sort. So we don't quite know if that's concrete, the £8 million release clause. If it is, then one club's going to get an absolute bargain here. But if not, I'm sure that Reading will be holding out for quite a bit more than that. I think for the player, a move over to a club like Leeds especially would make a lot of sense. I think with their recruitment policy, working under a manager like Bielsa, the style of play as well. Olise so far this season's just been a wonderfully gifted player to watch. I just hope we get to see at least a full season of him in the Championship, because like I say, he's been a breath of fresh air for them so far. Next up we then go to Doncaster midfielder Ben Whiteman, who's been linked with a move to Preston North End. Now I've liked Ben Whiteman for quite some time now for Doncaster. He's been playing at a really high level in League One and has attracted Championship interest in previous windows. Last window Barnsley were heavily linked with the player, a move didn't quite materialise in the end. But with Preston's midfield at the moment, we've got, you know, 3 of our best players whose contracts are expiring at the end of the season, who are all midfielders: Ben Pearson, Alan Brown and Daniel Johnson. It is going to be an area that we need to invest in. Our recruitment over the last sort of 2-3 windows at least, hasn't particularly been up to scratch. We've sort of drifted away from what our transfer policy was when we were initially promoted up to the Championship from League One. Ben Whiteman would very much set us back on track though. He's a very high quality player, only 24 years old. I think he's got the ability as well to really be brought onto a new level, and also brings goals from midfield. 5 goals and 4 assists for him so far this season for Doncaster. So for me, if we were to lose a couple of our big midfielders, this would be an avenue that I'd like to see us go down. Barnsley, I wouldn't be too surprised to see them having their interest renewed in him as well. Bit of a weird one, but in the national press as well, we were linked to Fleetwood striker Ched Evans, but it has since come out the club's denied that we have been interested. That would have just been a bit of a weird move all around. Celtic are apparently interested in Middlesbrough winger Patrick Roberts. Obviously he's out on loan there at the moment, so Celtic are reportedly asking for that loan deal to be cut short so that he can then make his loan move over to Scotland. Now, Patrick Roberts so far this season for Borough fans, do let me know in the comments down below what you've made of this one, because he's not really had all too much of a chance in the first team, has he? He's just made 3 starts for them, 4 appearances then off the bench. I remember last season when he initially signed in January, had some really quality performances for them, obviously then picked up a bit of an injury. So this is one that I could probably see happen. I think there's a high chance of this one going through, obviously with Middlesbrough still being linked to Yannick Bolasie as well. He'd probably be the wine man that would come in as cover. Speaking of Middlesbrough wingers, Duncan Watmore's being linked absolutely everywhere at the moment. Now, he initially signed a short-term deal with Middlesbrough. I, for one, wasn't expecting him to have this sort of impact on the Borough side. So far this season for Middlesbrough, in 6 starts and 2 appearances off the bench, he's got 5 goals and 1 assist. He scored again last night in the defeat they had against Sheffield Wednesday. The clubs that have been linked, likes of West Brom, Burnley, Swansea, Stoke. Obviously, if he's not going to sign that contract extension with Middlesbrough, he is available on a free transfer then. So Watmore has his options here to assess and weigh up. I think what's probably most likely to happen though, surely he's going to sign that contract extension with Middlesbrough. It's a club where he seems to be settled out quite well. But like I say, I'm surprised at how well this one's actually worked out, because I mean, I for one didn't see this happening, but it's a gamble that's paid off for Borough so far. Next up to quite a big transfer story going around at the moment. That's Max Aaron's being linked with the move to Manchester United. Now, Max Aaron's very much one of Norwich's prize assets during the summer. They did well to keep hold of him. You know, him and Buendia, especially Buendia, who we spoke about on the last transfer rumour round video, who's currently been linked with the move to Arsenal. Max Aaron's is an interesting case because obviously Norwich are a side who typically do very well in transfer markets in terms of the value they actually get for their players. They're never mugged off, and so I'd imagine that Max Aaron's especially will be a player who they'd be holding out for quite a bit for, especially from an offer, you know, from a club like Manchester United. Previously in the summer we saw Max Aaron's having links to likes of Barcelona, and obviously looking into United's defenders at the moment, they've got Wan-Bissaka in that area. Aaron's is pretty much like the opposite of Wan-Bissaka really, isn't he? He's a brilliant attacking fullback, but defensively sometimes leaves a little bit to be desired in the Premier League season that Norwich had. I think, to be honest, he'll have learned quite a bit from that season actually. So the deal in many ways would make sense. It would just be a question of if United were willing to pay over the odds to get him. Spurs winger Jack Clark's been made available to go out on loan in January. Now, he did have a loan spell out last season to the Championship at QPR where, to be completely honest, we didn't get to see all too much of him really, did we? QPR fans, let me know down below what you thought of him when he did play. But like I said, his opportunities in that side last season seem to be fairly limited. But I think he is a player who can do a job at this level. The club's interest, as in Birmingham a few weeks ago, Sheffield Wednesday, Coventry and Stoke all have been mentioned. And then moving on to another Tottenham youngster, it appears that Troy Parrott may be being recalled from his loan spell at Millwall. Now, so far this season, Troy Parrott's not played an awful lot of football. Things haven't quite clicked for him at Millwall as of yet. And Millwall fans, I'd be interested to get your guys' take on all this in the comments down below. Obviously, he initially signed, there was a lot of hype behind him. I was even backing Millwall to get into the playoffs. I thought that this could be the signing that maybe tipped them over the edge. But as we all know, so far this season, goals have been a real issue for this Millwall squad. Parrott initially comes in, gets injured. That doesn't obviously help him. It takes him time with his recovery to get back into the swing of things. And so far this season, just made 5 starts for them and then 3 appearances off the bench. He's been played in a couple of roles so far this season as that left forward and as a striker, but hasn't really seemed to fit in so far. And it appears that maybe what will be the plan for Tottenham is to recall the player and send him out on loan to some other Championship club. So if you do spot anyone else in the Championship, let me know down below if you would take Troy Parrott. Now, Gary Rowett did say the other day though that he's currently had no contact from Tottenham in terms of recalling him, so it is just a rumour at the moment. But with how the season's gone so far for the youngster, I could see something being behind this one definitely. But like I say, Millwall fans, do get your thoughts on this one in the comments down below. And it appears that Watford have got a deal completed for Danish winger Philip Zinkernagel. The winger who spent the last few years playing in Norway has got a fantastic record there, you have to say. In 28 matches last season, scored 19 goals and got 18 assists. It looks as if this deal's all been put in place, coming over on on a free transfer, and he's going to look to add a bit more firepower to this Watford forward line. I think this is quite an exciting deal, actually. Watford like to tap into the foreign markets, and they picked up a few hidden gems from time to time. Obviously, we'll wait to see how much of an adaptation period the player needs and that sort of thing, but from the face of things, looking at his stats from last season, looks like a really exciting talent. Well guys, there we have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. So as always, if you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and get all your thoughts in the comments down below, and any other transfer rumours that you've seen going around, get them in the comments as well. I'm sure that as soon as it does hit January 1st, the transfer window in terms of the rumour mill is just going to absolutely explode, and we're going to have absolutely loads to talk about. But like I said guys, that will now wrap it up for today's video. If you went on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like, and please do subscribe and stick around for a bit of regular Championship content. But other than that guys, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.